Hi guys, absolutely terrifying footage was revealed that shows the Titan submersible owned by Oceangate spinning dangerously out of control in 2022.
Am I spinning?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
A documentary about the Oceangate Titanic adventure has been filmed by BBC in 2022. The documentary was called Take Me to the Titanic, and that footage has resurfaced just recently. We will talk about in a minute what happened, and I'll show you the footage. But notice that the submarine, the Titan, was steered by a game controller, by something like this. I don't know if you play video games, how often does this thing fail, or it's getting stuck, or it reacts too late? Imagine putting your life, independency of that, into a submarine 12,000 feet deep in the ocean. And it is well known that these game controllers are not the most reliable. I mean, they're cheap garbage, right? They're made for entertainment and not for a high-tech Titanic exploration mission in a small, teeny tiny submarine. When you watch this documentary, it's very interesting to see that even when they were filmed for a documentary, I mean, you want to have everything super great, everything working smoothly, because that's the best advertisement, BBC filming your trip. But even during that trip, they could not make it incident free. It was a terrible incident.
And Scott is like, oh no, we have a problem.
So while this was being filmed, the submarine was spinning out of control.
I was thinking, we're not going to make it.
Whoever would go into that submersible after an incident like that?
We can't go anywhere but go in circles.
So all the people that went on trips after this documentary was filmed in 2022, that's a suicide mission. Don't you do your research whether that thing is safe? You never believe the company. You want to listen to reviews. And there were a lot of experts, ex-employees that were warning about that thing.
Warnings.
We all told him, you know, someone is going to be killed in this thing, and you've got to not do it.
Out here, this is really focused on one thing, and that's the pressure vessel, and making sure that that component, which is clearly the most critical component of the sub, is safe and capable of handling depths down to 4,000 meters repeatedly with people on board.
This is not a tourist operation. We have a number of nautical archaeologists and deep-sea marine biologists, as well as our own crew, that will go. There are 5 individuals can go on each dive. 3 of those are what we call mission specialists. So those are the folks who help finance the mission, but they are also active participants. So why we're not a fan of the tourist term is because these are crew members, and we teach them how to operate the sonar, how to operate the communication systems, how to do the photography and run some of those. And then when they're not diving, they're on the surface and they're helping collect the data from before, potentially prepare things like batteries for the next mission, provisions and the like. So it's a very much you're part of the crew.
That whole Oceangate program took a tragic turn on June 18th. The Oceangate vessel named Titan went missing with British explorer Hamish Harding, diving company CEO Stockton Rush, French submersible pilot Paul-Henri Nargollet, and Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman were on board. And 4 days later, the U.S. Coast Guard confirmed that the Titan submersible had suffered a catastrophic implosion, leading to the devastating loss of all 5 individuals. And a few days later, parts of the wreckage, including tiny human remains, were recovered. Was this tragedy foreseeable? A lot of experts say yes. And honestly, if you watch that BBC documentary and see the footage, yes, of course, it was absolutely predictable. That little tiny Titan submarine has only one window. It has no seats. It's cold. inside that submersible, people sit there barefoot. It had only one toilet, which is a small black box, and it had a black curtain drawn across to ensure some privacy. And they said that they would play music. So the passengers are sitting on the floor barefoot, very, very close to each other, trying to look through that one tiny round window steered by a game controller. These submarine tourists paid up to $250,000 for that trip to reach the wreckage site of the Titanic, and they were required to sign a long waiver which, for example, says that they understand that no regulatory body has approved the submersible. It can only hold 5 people, and that trip involves a 2.5-hour dive, many hours exploring the Titanic, and again a 2-hour return. So in total, the dives could last around 10 hours each. In the BBC documentary is shown that they're around a seabed, and the Titan sub pilot dangerously loses control about the sub. The submersible's thruster malfunctioned, and it was circling at the bottom of the ocean in about 13,000 feet depth, or 3,800 meters depth. It was circling, spinning out of control.
Oh my God.
In the documentary, you can see that while they're down there, the crew in that tiny submarine, the pilot named Scott Griffith has alerted the team of an impending issue, and he has informed them of the spiraling motion of the submersible and that this was beyond his control. I mean, imagine this, you're sitting there and he says, well, I'm sorry, it's beyond my control. That's super, super scary because you don't have a door where you can just say, bye guys, I'm out. No way. So that BBC travel show, that's what it is, shows that anguished reaction of the crew upon hearing that distressing news about the malfunctioning thrusters of the Titan. And fortunately, this time the crew was able to reprogram that controller and redirecting the course of the Titan towards the Titanic wreck, and then even successfully resuming the mission. Just recently, the New Yorker has released a report which alleged that Oceangate employees expressed concerns about the reliability of the sub and criticized CEO Stockton's ego already as early as in 2018. During the time of the incident, when the Titan submersible was spinning out of control deep in the ocean, the Oceangate CEO Stockton Rush was on board the support vessel Polar Prince on the top side of the ocean, and he was trying to help the pilot down in the sub, and he came up with a solution that was surprisingly simple. And he said to tell the pilot, tell him to hold the game remote the other way. He said tilting the controller 90 degrees clockwise will make the submersible go forward again. This is so scary. Imagine you're a billionaire. You can do all the fun stuff in the world, enjoy your life, and you would believe that you do some research about this before you risk your life and don't have your life being dependent on something like this. You can see in the BBC footage, and that is really scary, when the Titan reaches the ocean floor near the Titanic's resting place, you can hear the pilot Scott Griffith say, "There's something wrong with my thrusters. I'm thrusting and nothing's happening." So he's not able to give the sub a push to be able to steer it. I am spinning, he said. And at some point, the pilot even said, "Oh my God." Imagine you're the passenger and you hear the pilot say that. So then he explained to the passengers that one of the thrusters was going forward and the other thruster was going backwards. So imagine that, driving a car and, one side moves the car forward and one side backwards, which is not possible with a car. But just imagine you're not able to steer or to drive or get to where you want. So you're spinning, and that's what happened to the vessel. So the pilot explained that to the passengers, and he explained them that he's not able to reach the shipwreck, although they were just 1,000 feet or so away. And one passenger, her name is Renata Rojas, she said, I was thinking we're not going to make it. And we can't go anywhere but going in circles. And how long can you do this? Until you run out of battery, or you run out of oxygen, or you hit something. And then what happened next? They were forced to wait at the bottom of the ocean until the Oceangate CEO Stockton came up with his glorious solution just to hold the game controller different. And then they even finished the mission to look at the Titanic. I think I would have my own Titanic within me. I would just say, let's get up there. I want to get out of this thing. I mean, I'm smart enough that I know you can't panic in situations like this, because if you're in a teeny tiny sub with 5 other people and you start to freak out, you make everything worse. But I would certainly have advised everyone, let's go up, and before something else happens with the remote, because obviously something is very wrong. And after this incident, it was numerous dive experts and former Oceangate employees and associates have spoken out, accusing Rush and the company of ignoring repeated warnings. And one guy, David Lockridge, he was Oceangate's former director of marine operations. He wrote in a 2018 email that he feared Rush, quote, kills himself and others in the quest to boost his ego. And sadly, this is exactly what happened, because when the Titan imploded, the CEO Stockton Rush was on board. So was his pride, his ego, his belief in his own, whatever it was, his own arrogance that big? That he went in there himself, so he must have believed in it. It was not, to me, it seems it was not like, yeah, I want to make as much money and it'll be okay, just guys, go in there, dive. He went there with them. So that former director claims that he was fired from the company after sounding the alarm on safety issues in a report. And not only that, multiple previous passengers have also spoken out about an array of glitches and malfunctions that they experienced on their own Titanic expeditions. So guys, I really have to say, if you're a passenger or a future passenger and you want to do that trip, I assume you do some research, because this is not just a train trip or a trip with a car or a flight or whatever. You do your research whether that is safe. And then you find these quotes from other passengers that have done it. You find stuff like the documentary, or like since 2018 experts have spoken out. You find all this and then you still want to go in there. To me, that is quite suicidal, because evaluating the risk, I don't know, that risk is too high. And then even if you look at the success rate, I think out of 90 attempts to reach the Titanic, they only made it 14 times. So you're taking the risk to lose your life for something that only works 14 out of 90 times? A lot of questions remain, and there are a lot of unknown things, in my opinion. And if you're interested in that topic, check out my video. I put the link here in the screen that I have made about the last 20 minutes of the Oceangate. A transcript has resurfaced with the alleged communication between the Titan and the support vessel. And then at 9:45 a.m., the Titan vanished. There was no more communication. So in this video, I outline the last communication, and it's really, really scary. So guys, if you made it that far, thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Do your own research. Whatever you do, it doesn't have to be something big and expensive like that. That can be even driving a roller coaster in some theme park. Do your research. Is it safe? Have there been incidents? You know, are they nearly broke? Do they have enough money for maintenance? I always look into things like that, because one 10-minute ride is not worth my life. That's my opinion. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, support my channel, and there's lots of other fun stuff. I have all my playlists here in the description. See you soon. Bye bye.